I'm out on Bartlett Lake, and I'm going to pay a little visit. There's an island. Hold on, is it an island? No, it's a point. This point, there's a campsite right about there. That's where we're heading right now. I'm not going to camp here. I'm heading to Tom Thomson. That's where I've got the booking for. But this site is memorable to me, and when we get there, I'll tell you why. So we're going to go visit. So the first thing that's memorable about this campsite is a steep incline to get up to the campsite. Otherwise, it's pretty flat up there. But I just remember landing and thinking, well, it was kind of a desperate thing. I needed to get the first campsite in. I was like, great, it's an uphill. So here we are. I'm gonna climb up to the campsite. Otherwise, up here, if I remember, it's pretty flat. There's lots of places to put your tent. Over there, I set up my hammock. I was on a solo trip, and I hammocked over there. And over here is the fire pit. Nice little fire pit. A nice nice look over the lake here. So why am I visiting this place? Well, it's kind of like down memory lane for me. On that trip in November when I came through the same area, of course I went into Sunbeam differently. The other time I went through Burnt Lake, I believe, into Sunbeam, and so that day I went from Burnt Lake all the way to here, and it was probably about a little more than a half a dozen portages, maybe 7 or 8 of them. I can't remember. None of them were extremely long, but that wasn't what was the problem. The problem was it was a late November trip, and despite the big lakes being open, all the small ones in between had frozen, and some almost completely, and it took a lot of work to get through. And yeah, I was pretty concerned. The daylights are pretty short at that time of year, and it was thank goodness I had a Royalex boat to break through the ice, but it was a tough go. And so by the time I got to finish this portage, I mean, even prior to getting to that portage, it was already getting dark, and by the time I finished, it was pitch dark. And so I looked at the map, and I looked at the first campsite available, which was this one, and I came here with my headlamp on, and I pitched my hammock and set up camp. And I just remember here, so the weird thing about this trip was that when I looked at the weather report, there was going to be a huge temperature swing. So when I started the trip, it was going to be like -10, and by the time the trip ended, it was going to be +10. So it was going to be a 20 Celsius swing in the temperature. And so that night, even though during the day it was quite cold getting here, by the time I got here, I don't know what time it was, probably like 6 o'clock or 5, I don't know, but it was dark, and it was actually warm. It swung, and so I was actually taking off clothing because it was so warm. And I remember being here at the campsite, and after I set my hammock, I was excited I was going to get a fire started, and I was going to have a nice little relaxing supper, and that's when the rain started. And so, so much for that idea. Pretty much I had to go back to my hammock, which was over there. I set up my tarp, and I had supper under the tarp, and then I called it a night. Yeah, that's why I wanted to come visit here. It was, like I said, it was a memorable camp to me, and it's kind of nice to come back here and to see the place and relive some of the memories, even though not all of it was good. Look what we got here. Blue skies. The storm is breaking. Yeah, baby. Look at that. I might be able to dry out tonight. Look at the scenery. You got the sun, you got the mist coming off from the water. Man, can't ask for anything better after a day of portaging in the rain and being soaked. Look at the mist there. Wow. People ask why I come out here. It's moments like these. Amazing. And then it's gone. And now I'm going through the narrows between Bartlett and Tom Thomson. And it'll be time to find a campsite. Today was an easy day. Probably only like, I don't know, 5-6 kilometers. Which is okay. Had a good rest last night. Got to decide when to take down the tent. That's when there was a break in the storm. And I certainly didn't luck out in the portage department because I got dumped on during the portage. But hey, that's just how it goes sometimes. But yeah, now looking forward to getting to Tom Thomson and drying out. Look at the shafts of light coming in. Wow. Absolutely gorgeous. I don't know if this GoPro is catching it, but I can see the shafts of light coming in through the spruce trees there. Wow. Beautiful Tom Thomson ahead. That island with the white pines looks so iconic. I'm sure it was painted a few times, and if not photographed many times. I know I photographed it once when I was here. Okay, so it's now a matter of choosing which site. There's lots. Well, I gotta say, there's nothing like feeling dry again. And this is just past the Narrows. I just came through over there, and this campsite here was, I wanted to get it facing to the sun so that I could dry stuff off before it got dark. But yep, as you can see, everything is pretty much laid out to dry. So I'm taking advantage of the sun and the warm weather to dry up and to warm up before the sun goes down. Now I just got to worry about my work on my feet. They went into a little bit of muck and some water. They look clean now, but they're still soaked. And I get my feet rinsed off and these wet socks drying, and I'll get on a dry set, and then supper time. I think today turned out pretty well considering all the rain. Look at the scenery. It's absolutely gorgeous. I can tell you this is not mid-October weather. This time of year it's usually pretty cold, and you know, I should be wearing a jacket or whatever, but I'm totally comfortable sitting in just a shirt and pants, and actually even barefoot. I washed my feet, and they're now toasty dry. This is great to be out here on a day like this, especially in mid-October. So I'm definitely going to enjoy it. I get to see the sun set as I enjoy supper. This is what it's all about. That evening, I had a cool visitor, a beaver that was obviously used to campers, so I spent some time watching him until I guess he finally got annoyed with the light and gave me the cold shoulder. I then let him be, as he continued chewing throughout the night. Good morning. It's morning of day 3. Can you hear that? That's the loon. There is a resident loon here that's been crying out all night, but it doesn't sound too happy. Alright, coming out of the tent. This is the day that we have today. It's overcast, but there's no rain. You can definitely see the colors. But yeah, it's misty out there. Kind of like yesterday morning where it kind of felt damp. There's actually other campers here. They were camped somewhere about there. Every once in a while I heard some voices, and last night I could see a fire. I think it's time to get the water boiling and get the coffee going. I don't know if you can see it from the GoPro, but it's really getting foggy. I don't know if it's even a fine rain or a mist. It's going to take the tarp down, but I think I'm going to leave it up so that I can have breakfast under there in case it starts to raining. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the tent taken down. Well, you know when you pull this out, it's time for some business. Okay, let's go. Of course, there's that sign. Oh, there's trails going all over the place. I'll take this one. And hilarious. There is a sign. Caution. I guess I should be worried right about now. Except the trail goes in so many different ways. I don't even know which way to go. This way? No. I don't see anything over there. Man, for someone who's got to go... Oh! It's right there. Of course, follow the caution sign. For someone who has to go pretty quick, this could be pretty bad if you can't find the thunderbox. Alright, let's hit it. Okay, the part that I hate most on all canoe trips is having to put on wet socks and wet shoes in the morning, especially when it's colder. Today, luckily, it's not that cold. I mean, it's chilly enough, but it's not freezing cold. So I have to unfortunately take off my nice warm dry socks and put on the wet ones. The shoes are still wet, and even the socks didn't even dry even yesterday. I mean, the daylight was brief, so it didn't have enough chance to dry. And this is where you get to put on these nice cold wet socks. As my wife would say, are you a man or a mouse? Well, this, honey, I'm a mouse. I'll try not to scream. No, I won't. The other campers across the lake, and the last thing I want them to do is run over here because some guy is screaming because he can't put up with putting cold wet socks on. Oh, it's cold. Oh man, if there's something that's going to get you up in the morning, it'll be this one. Forget the coffee. Who needs coffee? change my orthotic, my insole, and then the cold shoe. Oh man, oh, it's cold. I think usually at this time of year I would not be wearing shoes. I would actually be wearing mid-hikers or even boots, depending on how cold and how miserable the conditions are going to be. But normally at this time of year, I don't choose a route that I could possibly be wading in muck and be, who knows, possibly knee-deep, maybe waist-deep in the muck, in the shallow water. So if that's the case, I tend to wear boots that are waterproof so my feet stay dry. So because of the Vanishing Pond issue, the unknown with Vanishing Pond, I opted to wear shoes because I knew that I may be wading or walking in muck. So hence why I get to wear these cold shoes this morning. And it's never a good feeling, but it's time to man up like a mouse. And that's it. Now I get to have cold feet for the rest of the morning. Well, until I hit a portage, and then I should warm up a bit. So that's it. Okay, so that's it. Camp is all packed up. I'm all ready to go. The rain never came. The mist and the fog cleared up, but still overcast and gray. And it is starting to get a little more cool. My hands are getting cold, so this is the real October weather coming in, I guess. So I'll be just glad that the water stays calm and it's not too windy and it doesn't rain. Once I get to the car, that'll be great. So that's it for Tom Thomson. Had a great day here, and now time to head back to Canoe Lake. I can tell you one thing for certain, it's not warm anymore. The wind's still pretty much coming from the south, but it is a lot more brisk and cold today. And hopefully the wind won't be too bad on Canoe Lake. But so far so good. It's a headwind alright, but I guess that's what you get for getting a tailwind coming in. Headwind going out. I'm good with that. But yep, it's definitely cold. A lot colder than it has been the last few days. Do you see what I'm seeing? It's a friggin' bull moose. 30 feet from shore. You saw that, right? Wow. That was unexpected. And it's amazing because he was just there quietly eating, and I came around a bend and I was just like, whoa! And of course the first thing I thought was rutting season probably soon, if not already started. And I'm thinking I am a little safer in the water, that he can't charge me, but still kind of made me real nervous. But at the same time I wanted to get footage of it and pictures of it, so I finally got my camera out and took some pictures. But I was literally almost 30 feet from that bull moose, and for the most part he didn't mind. He just every once in a while looked up and made sure, I guess I wasn't approaching closer. But it's funny, at one point I was drifting in. Sorry about that. I don't know, these GoPro batteries, like, they're so fickle. I mean, sometimes it looks like it's a full battery, it shows, and then it goes right down to one bar and then it shuts off, which this one probably will again too. Anyhow, what I was trying to say, see, it already went to one bar. And it's probably going to shut off. Great. So what I was going to say is that I was drifting a little too close to the moose, and I had the camera to my face. I didn't realize, because you're zooming in and out trying to get some good pictures of the moose, and then when I pulled my camera from my face, I realized I was like 20 feet. I was like, whoa, back paddle, back paddle. Good thing that the moose didn't mind. He just kept on eating. So anyhow, I finally decided to move on.
After some time paddling, I finally had the bridge on Joe Lake in sight. Like the Yonge Street portage, paddling under this bridge seems like a rite of passage for those familiar to canoeing in Algonquin. Now onward to the most well-known portage.
Okay, I wasn't able to talk very much or video because the problems with the battery, just a pain in the royal ass. And of course it started to rain, so I had to get dressed in rain gear and then put the GoPro away, or at least put the waterproof case on. Just arrived at the last portage to Canoe Lake, and after that it will be the one final paddle on Canoe Lake, and that'll conclude the trip. Hopefully the rain holds off. It was raining for a bit and then it's kind of died down now, so it's kind of stopped, so I better get going while I have it good. This is it. Final portage. Okay, that was the craziest thing I just experienced. We're right now at the end of the Canoe Lake portage, and it's starting to pour. But just minutes ago, I was getting ready, I saw this flash, and actually it was a snap, like a, I don't know, it wasn't sounding like a gunshot, but it was a really loud crack. and then a huge flash of light. I thought it was a gunshot, and then a huge thunder, and it sounded like something got hit nearby. But man, it shook the place up and really got my nerves on edge here. Hopefully there's no more lightning and flashes. I need to head out, and it's not looking really pretty out there. It's just pouring like crazy right now, so seems like I won't luck on a dry end to the trip. At least I was able to pack when it was dry, but this will be not too much fun. So anyhow, let's get going. Okay, I'm trying to keep this as dry as possible, but I got halfway through Canoe Lake on the island, Camp Wapamio or something like that. Anyhow, I was about halfway down, and I had to stop because I had to bail because there's so much water getting in the canoe. And it was okay because it was at least calm, but now the wind's picked up and it's going like nuts right now. So I'm good. I'm glad that I'm on this side of the island. Otherwise, I'd be tossed around. But yeah, you can see the water and the mist just moving like crazy right now. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. There's thunder still going on. It's getting cold too, so I wouldn't be surprised if this eventually turns into snow or something. But man, it's nuts right now. So I made it finally at the end. I'm never been so glad to be at the end of a canoe trip. Usually I'm kind of aching because I don't want to leave, but it's been a rough day, especially on Canoe Lake. There's my canoe. I think I'm the only one here, and thankfully this the park permit office is providing a little bit of a dry spot for me to bring all my stuff in and pack the car. That's the scene outside. I mean, GoPro makes it look a lot brighter, but man, it is wicked out there. I had just enough pause to get the canoe on, but another wave or some front came in and it was just, you could see the clouds just racing like crazy. The trees are all swaying. Then it started to pour again and got all dark, and now it seems to be lightening up again. But man, I'm glad to get out of this. Okay, so I'm now in the car. Everything's strapped down, everything's packed in. I'm changed and I'm feeling 100% better. Well, that concludes the trip. As you know, Vanishing Pond was not nearly the adventure that I expected, or you might have expected. In fact, today was probably the bigger adventure, trying to get out on Canoe Lake with this storm. But glad everything turned out okay. Anyhow, glad that it's over. I'm glad that I got out. And well, until the next adventure, TPP out.